Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you tonight about the divine law of supply, a law as certain as the sunrise. Money is not a master, it is a servant. It has no will of its own, only the will we give it through our thoughts, our words, and our faith. When you speak with authority, when you command prosperity in the name of divine order, money must obey. Just as a soldier follows the command of his captain, so does wealth follow the command of your spirit. We live in a universe where abundance is already yours, waiting to be spoken into form. The moment you declare, with conviction, money flows to me freely, constantly, and without end, you set the law in motion, and the law never fails. Money is a servant, not a master. When people look at their lives, many believe that money is the one holding the reins, dictating every decision, determining the direction of their steps, and controlling their freedom. But the truth is the exact opposite. Money has no life of its own. It cannot think, it cannot choose, it cannot lead. It is neutral, lifeless substance, shaped only by the mind that directs it. The moment we begin to see money as a servant, as something placed under our command rather than above us, a profound shift begins to occur in the way we relate to wealth. Money responds to the consciousness behind it, and if we place it on the throne as master, it will reflect bondage. But when we place it where it belongs, as the obedient servant of divine law, it will reflect freedom, flow, and abundance. Throughout life, many have been conditioned to see money as power itself, as the ultimate ruler. They feel that without it, nothing is possible, and with it, everything is possible. Yet power never lies in the paper or the coin. Power lies in the consciousness that directs it. You are the master. You are the one endowed with the ability to command supply. You were created not to serve money, but to have money serve you as a tool of expression, freedom, and good. When you forget this truth, you become a slave to numbers, to balances, to the constant chase of acquiring more, believing that money holds the key to your destiny. But when you remember that money is only a channel, a mirror of your inner faith, you rise into authority, and money begins to obey. The universal law works in such a way that substance always follows the pattern of belief. If you see money as master, then you will always feel lack, always feel subordinate, always feel like you are reaching for something outside of yourself. But if you understand it as servant, you will command it with authority, and it will flow into your experience. A servant waits for instruction, and so does money. If you declare, I am always in supply, money flows to me constantly and without delay. Money has no choice but to align itself with your command. It does not argue. It does not resist. It does not reason. It simply obeys the vibration of your word and your faith. When money is treated as master, fear takes the place of faith. Fear of losing it, fear of not having enough, fear of the future. This fear sets up walls in consciousness, blocking the natural flow of supply. People begin to worship money, chase money, and yet repel it through their fear. But when money is restored to its rightful place as servant, fear dissolves. You no longer worship the tool, you worship the source, and the source is infinite. The tool becomes plentiful, obedient, and always present, because you no longer bow to it, but use it to serve divine purpose. To see money as servant is to strip it of false power. The world may say money rules everything, but in truth, consciousness rules everything. Spirit rules everything, and money is simply one of the many instruments through which spirit expresses abundance. Just as a hammer serves the builder, just as a brush serves the artist, so money serves the one who speaks with authority. The builder does not fear the hammer, nor does the artist worship the brush. They simply use it with confidence, knowing it will respond to their direction. And so it is with money. It is not here to bind you, to frighten you, or to rule you. It is here to serve you in manifesting good, freedom, comfort, generosity, and divine expression. When you look at money in this way, you free yourself from the chains of worry. You begin to think and act as the master of supply, not its servant. You no longer ask, "Will I have enough?" but instead declare, "Money is always at my command, and it comes as I need it." This is not arrogance. It is divine alignment. It is understanding that money does not create you. You create the conditions in which money must appear. Your word, your faith, and your vision set the command, and money responds like a faithful servant awaiting instruction. When you live from this truth, lack loses its grip, because you are no longer chasing a master. You are directing a servant. Words spoken with authority set spiritual law in motion. Every word we speak carries vibration, and vibration creates movement in the unseen. Most people speak casually, carelessly, not realizing that their words are commands sent forth into the invisible substance that surrounds them. When one speaks with authority, when one declares with faith rather than doubt, the words do not fall to the ground empty. They set in motion currents of energy, aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities to fulfill what has been spoken. The universe responds not to idle chatter, but to conviction, to the voice that knows its own power, to the word that is spoken as law. The ancient truth has always been that life and death are in the power of the tongue. What you decree, what you affirm, what you speak into being, becomes the reality you walk into. When your words are tinged with fear, you set fear in motion. When they are infused with lack, you set lack in motion. But when they are rooted in faith and clothed in certainty, they carry the authority of spirit, and spirit never fails to fulfill its own word. This is why idle speech brings idle results, while words spoken with authority bring demonstration. Authority is not loudness. Authority is not mere repetition. Authority is alignment with divine law. A whisper spoken in faith carries more power than a shout spoken in doubt. Authority comes from the certainty that spirit is backing your word, that you are not speaking from personal will alone, but from the law of the infinite that never returns void. When you say, "Money flows to me in perfect ways," with authority you are not pleading. You are not wishing. You are declaring law, and law always fulfills itself. There is a difference between a command and a complaint. Many people complain about their situation, saying over and over, "I never have enough. Everything is difficult. Money slips through my hands." And because words set spiritual law in motion, the law responds faithfully to their own decree. Lack multiplies, difficulties appear, money continues to escape them. They have unknowingly set the law in motion against themselves through careless speech. On the other hand, when one commands with faith, "I am always supplied, I am prospered in all ways, money serves me constantly," the law takes those words and brings them into manifestation. To speak with authority is to speak from the consciousness of truth rather than appearances. Appearances may shout lack, circumstances may whisper limitation, but authority speaks above appearances. Authority declares, "Divine substance is unlimited, and it takes form as I command." It is the voice of the captain directing the ship, even if the sea looks rough. The sea obeys the captain's direction, not the fear of the sailor, and so it is with words. The storm of circumstances may rage, but when you speak with authority, the storm must obey the law behind your words. Children of spirit have been given the authority to declare truth. This authority is not earned by effort. It is not granted by external conditions. It is inherent. You were born with the ability to set spiritual law in motion with your word. When you forget this, you live as if powerless, begging life to give you what you desire. But when you remember, you rise into mastery, realizing that your word is your wand, and every declaration is a seed planted into the soil of substance. Speak with faith, and the soil will yield abundance. Speak with doubt, and the soil will yield barrenness. The soil is neutral, it simply obeys the seed sown through your words. Every word you speak is a decree. Whether you are conscious of it or not, you are always setting law in motion. Authority means becoming conscious of this power. refusing to waste words in fear or negativity, and choosing instead to speak only that which you desire to see multiplied. The servant of money obeys authority, not pleading. Substance obeys declaration, not complaint. When your word carries the authority of faith, it has the backing of the entire universe. The invisible immediately begins to arrange itself in perfect order to fulfill what has been spoken. Divine order governs supply. Lack is an illusion. The universe is not a chaos of random events. It is a system governed by perfect law. What may appear to human eyes as disorder is always held in the unseen by a higher harmony, a balance that never fails. Divine order is the framework upon which all creation rests, and within this order there is no lack. Lack belongs only to the realm of appearances, to the illusions of the human mind that believes in separation. In truth, supply is infinite, unbroken, ever flowing. When one aligns with divine order, the flow of supply becomes visible, dependable, and constant, for divine order knows no interruption. Many people live in fear of lack, believing that they can be cut off from their good, that money can dry up, that opportunities can vanish. But this belief is rooted in the illusion of disorder. They look only at appearances, the empty purse, the dwindling account, the unpaid bill, and they forget that appearances are temporary shadows, not reality. Reality is the eternal substance of spirit, always circulating, always replenishing, always ready to take form in whatever measure is called forth. When you see through the illusion of lack and anchor yourself in divine order, you discover that every need is already met, every demand already supplied, every gap already filled. Divine order does not mean delay, it does not mean struggle, it does not mean scarcity. Divine order means that the universe is always operating in perfect sequence. What you require is already on its way the moment you call it forth, and it arrives at the appointed time and in the appointed way. If the outer world seems slow to respond, it is not because there is disorder. It is because the channels of consciousness must be cleared to allow the order to be revealed. The supply is there, waiting. The alignment of thought and word allows it to come through. Just as a river flows naturally but can be blocked by debris, so divine supply flows continuously but may be obstructed by the clutter of fear, doubt, and belief in lack. Remove the debris, and the river proves it was always flowing. To understand divine order is to rest in the certainty that nothing can be withheld. The law is impartial. It does not choose favorites. It does not sometimes provide and sometimes fail. The law is constant as gravity, as certain as sunrise. When you declare that divine order governs your finances, you are affirming that money flows in right ways, at the right time, in the right amount, and that you cannot be deprived. What appears as delay or shortage is merely the working out of appearances, not the truth of reality. Reality remains abundance, and that abundance is forever governed by order. Lack is illusion because spirit cannot lack. Spirit is fullness itself, wholeness itself, completeness itself. Since you are one with spirit, you cannot lack either, except in the belief of your own mind. That belief projects itself outward and becomes the experience of scarcity, but the scarcity is only a shadow of thought. Change the thought, align with divine order, and the shadow dissolves. You discover that money comes in ways you could not have predicted, opportunities open in unexpected forms, and the very thing you thought was impossible arrives at your doorstep with perfect timing. This is not chance, it is not luck, it is not accident. It is the natural function of divine order once you release the illusion of lack. Every time you feel fear about money, remind yourself that divine order governs supply. Say to yourself, in divine order, my good is already here, nothing is missing, nothing is withheld. Feel the authority of that statement and notice how fear begins to loosen its grip. Fear is the voice of illusion, the voice that insists on disorder. Faith is the voice of truth, the voice that declares order is present, even when appearances deny it. When you stand in faith, you see through the illusion and the order becomes visible in your experience. Divine order is never broken. Even when circumstances appear chaotic, order is underneath, arranging everything for your highest good. The apparent loss may simply be the clearing of the way for greater gain. The apparent delay may be the preparation of a larger supply. The apparent emptiness may be the space required to receive a greater fullness. When you trust divine order, you stop struggling against appearances and begin to rest in the assurance that abundance is woven into the very fabric of life. Prosperity obeys the command of faith, not fear. Faith and fear are both creative forces, each carrying the power to shape the unseen into visible form. Faith is aligned with truth, with the certainty that spirit is the source and supply of all things, while fear is aligned with illusion, with the shadow belief that separation and lack can exist. When you issue a command in faith, the universe responds with obedience, for faith is the language of divine law. But when commands are mingled with fear, the law still responds, though it reflects the distortion of that fear. The difference lies not in the law itself, which is always neutral, but in the energy behind the words spoken. Every day, countless people issue commands without realizing they are doing so. They declare with fear, "I never have enough, I can't pay my bills, money is hard to come by." And these words, though negative, are still creative. Fear becomes their faith, and the law obeys, producing experiences that confirm their own belief. They see scarcity, and it appears to grow. They speak of struggle, and struggle multiplies. The law does not judge between good and bad commands, it only obeys the dominant vibration behind them. In the same way, when one speaks from the conviction of faith, even if appearances deny it, prosperity obeys. The invisible responds, aligning resources, opportunities, and supply with the command of unwavering trust. Faith is not mere hope. Faith is certainty. Hope waits for something to happen. Faith declares it is already so. Faith does not look to the outer world for evidence. It looks within to the unchanging truth that spirit is abundance itself. Fear trembles at the empty purse. Faith declares the purse full even as it lies open and bare. Fear submits to appearances. Faith rules over appearances. Fear contracts, faith expands. Fear binds the channels of supply, faith opens them wide. Prosperity always listens to faith, because faith speaks the language of spirit, and spirit cannot resist its own truth. When you stand in faith and speak prosperity into being, you are not making requests. You are issuing decrees. You are not asking money to obey. You are commanding it by right of divine inheritance. Faith knows that abundance is already present, that it cannot be taken away, and that every command backed by certainty must manifest. This is why those who carry unshakable faith seem to attract prosperity wherever they go. It is not chance, it is not coincidence. It is the obedience of law to the command of their faith. They walk into a room and doors open. They speak their word and opportunities appear. They release fear and prosperity responds immediately to the voice of authority. Fear, on the other hand, is a tyrant that distorts vision. It blinds people to opportunity, makes them overlook doors already open, and binds them to the very conditions they wish to escape. Fear whispers, "You cannot, you are not worthy, you will never have enough," and those who listen to this whisper give it power. They speak words of fear, and law obeys. Yet the moment fear is replaced by faith, the command changes, and so do the results. The same law that once produced lack now produces abundance, because the voice behind the command has shifted from illusion to truth. Prosperity is not partial. It does not choose some and reject others. Prosperity is obedient. It goes wherever it is commanded with faith. Those who prosper are not those with the most talent, or the most connections, or the most opportunities. They are those with the most faith. They speak with conviction, and the universe rearranges itself to obey. Those who struggle are not cursed, they are simply caught in the grip of fear, issuing commands of lack which the law fulfills with equal obedience. The moment they shift into faith, prosperity begins to obey them just as faithfully. Faith issues the command in alignment with divine order. Fear issues the command in alignment with disorder. Faith multiplies, fear diminishes. Faith builds, fear destroys. Faith calls forth plenty, fear calls forth poverty. Yet both operate under the same law, both are creative in their effect. This is why the choice of faith is not optional, it is essential. Without faith, commands are empty or destructive. With faith, commands are fertile, powerful, and unstoppable. Prosperity cannot resist the voice of faith, for faith speaks as spirit itself, and spirit always recognizes its own authority. Continuous flow comes from unwavering declaration. The movement of supply is not meant to be sporadic, appearing one moment and vanishing the next. True prosperity is not a single event, it is a current, a stream, a river that flows without interruption. This continuous flow is maintained not by chance, not by effort alone, but by the constancy of the words spoken in faith. When one declares abundance with conviction, not once, not twice, but continuously, day after day, thought after thought, the flow of supply is set into perpetual motion. The declaration becomes the rhythm of the soul, and the rhythm calls forth a steady stream of good that never dries up. Many people wonder why their prosperity comes in bursts. They experience sudden gain, then sudden lack, moments of abundance followed by stretches of scarcity. The reason lies in their own declaration. They speak with faith one moment, then cancel it with fear the next. They affirm wealth in the morning, then confess lack in the evening. Their words are divided, and so their supply is divided. The flow starts and stops because their declaration starts and stops. Continuous flow requires unwavering declaration. A word that is spoken with certainty and never withdrawn. A faith that is steady, no matter what the outer world may display. Unwavering declaration is not endless repetition without meaning. It is the steadfast alignment of thought, word, and belief with the truth of abundance. To declare is to affirm with authority, and when that declaration is unwavering, the universe has no choice but to align itself in harmony. Just as a river carves its path through rock by constant movement, so does unwavering declaration carve channels through which supply must flow. The rock may resist at first, but persistence wears it down until the way is open. In the same way, appearances may resist, but continuous declaration dissolves resistance and establishes a channel of abundance that cannot be blocked. The key is persistence in truth rather than surrender to appearances. Appearances of lack may tempt you to speak fear, but the unwavering soul refuses. It declares abundance even when the evidence is invisible. It holds fast to the truth that supply is infinite, circulation is constant, and money must obey the words spoken with faith. This persistence builds momentum. Every declaration compounds upon the last, strengthening the current until it flows with unstoppable force. Eventually, what was once spoken in faith, without evidence, becomes visible in form, and once visible, it continues to flow as long as the declaration remains steadfast. Unwavering declaration creates an atmosphere. It sets the tone of consciousness, shaping the field around you so that abundance gravitates toward you naturally. People sense it, opportunities recognize it, money responds to it. It is not simply what you say in moments of prayer or affirmation. It is the vibration of every word you allow to pass your lips. When you speak casually of lack, you interrupt the flow. When you speak consistently of abundance, you maintain it. The atmosphere you carry determines the conditions that surround you, and unwavering declaration ensures that your atmosphere is always one of plenty, never of want. The flow of prosperity is like breathing. If you inhale but never exhale, the breath is broken. If you exhale but never inhale, the breath is broken. True breath is a rhythm, an unbroken cycle. Prosperity is the same. To give and to receive, to declare and to accept, to command and to allow, this is the rhythm that keeps the current alive. Unwavering declaration ensures that your prosperity breathes, that it circulates, that it never stagnates. The moment doubt enters, the rhythm falters, and the flow weakens. But when faith holds firm and words remain aligned, the rhythm continues without interruption, and supply remains constant. Continuous flow is not about striving harder, it is about believing consistently. Striving is irregular, but belief is steady. Unwavering declaration comes not from effort but from confidence. It is the refusal to contradict yourself, the refusal to plant weeds of fear among seeds of faith. It is the knowing that every word you speak is a seed, and that seeds given time, nurtured by repetition, must bear fruit. Speak wealth continuously, and wealth must continuously appear. Speak lack intermittently, and the flow will always break. But speak abundance without wavering, and the flow becomes endless, like a river that knows no pause. Gratitude seals the channel of abundance. Gratitude is not merely a polite response to receiving. It is a powerful spiritual force that locks open the gates of supply and keeps the flow moving freely. When one gives thanks with sincerity, the energy of appreciation binds itself to the substance already received and draws more of the same into experience. Gratitude is magnetic. It is the signal to the universe that you recognize the good already in your life and are ready for more. It says to spirit, I see the blessing, I acknowledge the source, and I am prepared to steward greater supply. In this recognition, the channel is sealed, protected from the leaks of fear and complaint that so often diminish the current of prosperity. Many people block their good without realizing it because they live in complaint instead of gratitude. They receive one blessing, then immediately criticize that it is not enough. They overlook the steady gifts in their lives because they are fixated on what appears to be missing. Complaint weakens the channel, punctures holes in it, and allows the flow of prosperity to drain away. Gratitude, by contrast, strengthens the channel, patches every opening, and secures the abundance so that it continues to increase. The grateful heart does not dwell on what is absent, it magnifies what is present, and what is magnified grows. Gratitude is a declaration in itself. To say, thank you, with conviction is to affirm that the good is real, that it belongs to you, and that it is multiplying even now. Every time you give thanks, you stamp your prosperity with a seal of permanence. Without gratitude, prosperity may pass through your hands quickly, for the law responds to indifference by withdrawing. With gratitude, prosperity clings to you, because the law recognizes your acknowledgement of its presence. Just as a servant remains loyal to the master who values them, so supply remains loyal to the one who appreciates it. There is no such thing as a small blessing. Every gift, every coin, every opportunity deserves gratitude. To despise the day of small beginnings is to close the door to larger ones. The one who can give thanks for a little will be trusted with much. For their consciousness proves it can hold greater supply without waste or resentment. Gratitude for a single dollar is the same energy that attracts thousands. Gratitude for one open door is the same vibration that opens many doors. When you live in constant thankfulness, your life becomes a magnet for continuous increase. Gratitude also transforms the atmosphere of the mind. Fear cannot survive in the presence of gratitude, for gratitude fixes the attention on good rather than lack. Worry fades when the heart is giving thanks, because the act of gratitude insists upon recognizing that supply is already here. A mind filled with gratitude sees abundance everywhere, in nature, in relationships, in opportunities, in resources. This vision multiplies what it beholds. To the grateful soul, life itself becomes a treasury, and the treasury expands in proportion to the recognition. Gratitude is not passive, it is active affirmation. To practice gratitude is to stand firmly in the truth that divine order is at work, that prosperity is flowing, that good is present and increasing. Every thank you spoken with sincerity is a command to the universe to send more of what you appreciate. If you thank life for joy, more joy appears. If you thank life for money, more money comes. If you thank life for opportunity, opportunities multiply. The law is simple: what you bless, blesses you. What you appreciate, appreciates in value. Gratitude is the voice of blessing, and blessing returns in multiplied form. Gratitude seals the channel because it guards against forgetfulness. It keeps you aware of the source of supply, which is spirit alone. Without gratitude, one might begin to believe that prosperity comes from effort alone, from people, from chance, from luck. This forgetfulness creates fear, for if prosperity comes from unstable sources, it can vanish at any moment. Gratitude fixes the awareness on the true source, spirit, infinite and unfailing. And when the mind is anchored in the true source, no outer condition can shake the flow. Gratitude maintains the alignment that keeps prosperity steady and unbroken. Even in moments when appearances seem lacking, gratitude has the power to draw supply into view. To give thanks before the blessing is visible is to act in faith, and faith commands the law to respond. Gratitude in advance is one of the highest forms of faith, for it declares that the blessing is already yours though unseen. The universe cannot resist such certainty. It rushes to bring the invisible into form, so that the gratitude spoken in faith may be justified. This is why those who live in constant thanksgiving never seem to run out of good. They are always preparing the soil of consciousness for more to grow.